But yeah, so I mean, how as a Bitcoiner, how do you feel this year's going? What do you see coming for the rest of it?
It's going fantastic so far. My real kind of just personal reaction just now is probably, this is probably the overthinking stuff coming in, but it's more like an Oscar shit at the moment. Just like I could have done more, I could have got more Bitcoin, but I've always felt that about GameStop and stuff as well.
That's not
But
too late on,
no,
still at $29, you know.
yeah, sadly, I've no ammunition that I'm firmly illiquid, but the faith is there. It's all good. I mean, it's playing out before our eyes. Like it's weird, like the kind of level of Zen. It's really just kind of, it must have been crazy. You think the level of discipline that Cohen and all had to have, just to, have these plans in the works, and there's been basically no leaks. I mean, there was the odd kind of sub um posts on Reddit and things that kind of made like, oh, maybe what if Brian Cole is doing a big merger. What if the NFT, and the NFT marketplace tries to, make games, back games with NFTs and stuff. And at one point, I was very open-minded about that, but I'm firmly in the camp of unless there's a fuck ton Bitcoin reactor installed, nothing else matters. But anyway, yeah, Bitcoin's going very well, mate. Like it's inevitable. It's very much like the Thanos, I am inevitable, and the finger snap. It's all playing out. And I think the reason is like, um, not to sound too kind of, what's the word, new agey kind of stuff, but there is something to Bitcoin in terms of like the idea of authenticity, because it's based on math, right? Like there is a kind of, spiritual element, and just like if you're sitting on enough Bitcoin and your time is your own, and no one can fuck with the work that you've done, like in terms of the energy you put into it, get paid. Whereas like most of us who are off Bitcoin are not on Bitcoin. We're sitting with money in a bank, which, when most people don't even research money properly, or, like you just haven't had cost to it, but like the bank can, switch off your funds for whatever reason. And you hear scare stories and stuff, and you know that certain people are fear mongering and stuff. But at the end of the day, like, in this world you only have yourself to look after you really. And for a long time I would have been left wing. Like I would have been a big Jeremy Corbyn fan back in the day. Like I still admire the man greatly in terms of I think his values are right, but I just would disagree with like his rather his policies to get there sort of thing.
I still think
Like,
I still don't believe he could have been worse than whatever we've had since 2017. Like
oh
I look at everyone, they all thought I have a friend who was not a fan of him, and I was like, you know what, I like him because he's not in the club. He's
yes,
clearly not in the club, and they clearly hate him for not being in the club. And
yes.
I just feel like he could. Whatever has happened, like I can't imagine him of doing a worse job than the last 8 years of governments that we've.
No, I agree to that in terms of like, yes, that aspect of him being outside the club. He was a man of principle, and values and stuff, and you probably say he's probably cutting out the milk despite his face a few times, and maybe not playing it smart. He's probably closer to maybe Game of Thrones Sean Bean character. Ends up you know just like doing the right thing and stuff, but in the end, he gets killed. Uh, I love Jericho. My dream was for Jeremy Corbyn to understand Bitcoin, because so much like on the people say, oh, that's far right. Well, I say people, I mean, oh, that's far left. And it's just labels people give it rather than saying like ordinary working people, like, they have much more in common with each other, either side of the spectrum, when it's really the kind of the liberal elites who are kind of going, oh no, we know best. And they just kind of, shun you down, kind of like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. Oh, that's racist. Oh, that's, never gonna work. Well, if we kind of ground ourselves in in helping each other out and staying true to ourselves, we can see where it goes. And for me, Bitcoin is the ultimate tool to do that, because basically Bitcoin removes the establishment's ability to put their finger under the scale when it comes to your to move the scale to kind of make you think that your value is as good as what it, and that's what's so powerful. Like, I mean, just even, if you think about relationships with other people and stuff, and people Just, you come across narcissists and wounded people out there, and they kind of make you doubt yourself. It's just this idea of like we'll just stay true to ourselves and know our own power. We can get by, like and Bitcoin is like just the ultimate proof of that, and that's sort of why I fell in love with it in the end.
Hmm. The You talk about a lot of stuff there that I think it's just reminded me. I'm reading this amazing book, Techno-Feudalism. Hang on, let's turn it the right way for the camera.
Oh, Yanis Varoufakis.
Top notch, absolutely top notch. He does an unbelievable job of. I see a lot of people who go around on Twitter or on social media generally, or in the world, and they're just like they happily tweet from their iPhone like capitalism is the problem, and I just want to slap them. Just
Yeah.
you know, because capitalism is, in my head at least, is nothing more than the ability for people to just like make stuff and sell it. You know, that's it. And in a free market, hopefully. Um, the thing that we currently have is so far removed from that, like from either a free market or the ability to openly just easily, make stuff and sell it. That I couldn't even I didn't even have a word for it, right? Until I got this book. And now I'm it's fantastic. And he talks about how the 2008 crash basically destroyed capitalism entirely. So he talks about having the global minotaur from the 70s through to 2007, where the US economy was basically this constantly ever devouring dollar creating machine. And then we got to about 2007, and profit no longer became the model through which the economy ran. The economy ran on the money printer. That's how he calls it cloud capital subsumed the vast majority of all of the industries in the world, was by having enough free basically free money that they could accumulate everything, put everyone else out of business, and then just exist as the monopolist. And yeah, I know there's a lot of people who will maybe not agree with everything he says, but I find it to be the most explanatory piece of like writing that I have yet come across, that describes accurately how we ended up in the position we are now, where it feels like everyone is just getting poorer and the economy is stagnant and falling to pieces. And he articulates exactly how we got there, and it's yeah, fantastic. Um,
I mean, everything you said there, from what, putting Yanis's position across, that seems like, a Bitcoiner said it in many ways.
yeah,
Like, it seems like he should be a Bitcoiner. And I've not kept up with what he's lately said, but I seem to recall that he kind of dismissed Bitcoin, which I just think I probably think that's probably maybe a nature of ego or whatever. But I was a big admirer of Yanis for a long time, especially during the kind of Greek sort of debt crisis. I mean, the man was finance minister and stuff, and I remember like when Syriza decided not to do that, they would take the EU's bailout. Basically, it sounded like the man, what was his name, Cyprus. He got browbeaten basically by the EU. You will be forced to do this, and that's where your kind of confessions of an economic hitman kind of stuff that Max Heidegger talks about comes into play. But yeah, Yana said, "Fuck that! I'm away on my motorcycle," and thought fair play, like he's not gonna sell out. But yeah, I mean, it seems like that Bitcoin is the only possible solution to what he's described, and and you look at figures like Ray Dalio and stuff, he's a big hedge fund guy, and he had some, while I was really gelling for Bitcoin for me, he had some videos going on about the changing world order, and you realize like how every 100 years, the global reserve currency changes, will become like new power and things like that. And then was Great Britain, then it became America and things like that. What seems to be happening now is like there's really a case for no, I mean without Bitcoin, you'd say China would be the people coming along, but they don't seem particularly well set up to do that. I would say just you hear about all the problems they have with their property and things like that. And I'm not going to pretend to be an expert about all that kind of stuff, but just as a Bitcoiner, it seems like Bitcoin is an opportunity now to make a kind of truly neutral world reserve asset, and then the global power structure. We've never seen a world with that really.
Mm.
Um, well, I mean, I'm not maybe I can't make a blanket statement like that, but I'd say generally in history there probably hasn't been. That's what's really interesting now. But of course, the game theory is still there to be played out, and America's probably is the best position to take advantage of it. And I don't know, you probably, having grown up in Ireland and stuff, and over here, Europeans wouldn't have had a great view of Americans for a long time. We grew up with the Iraq War and George Bush and America, it kind of comes off as kind of, we're not, I don't want to say narcissistic, but kind of chauvinistic or whatever. But then, what having been to America a few times and talking to Bitcoin and just stuff, you kind of realize like there's a lot going for it, man. There's a lot going for self affirmation and seeing the best of yourselves and celebrating yourself. So I think it just depends on your mindset and stuff. So I would definitely not dismiss that. And America's achieved so much. And obviously there's probably dark paths in there as well, but like what country doesn't have that other than us in Ireland where we had no colonial history, but that's another that's another thing. But yeah, I would say America's best position with Bitcoin right now, and it's really a case of you should be you get Bitcoin at the price you deserve, right? And it comes back to things like that film Margin Call, where Jeremy Irons say you can be first, you can be smarter, or you can cheat.
Mm.
And hopefully Ryan Cohen is kind of both being smarter and being first. But Michael Saylor's led the way, and then on the nation state level, they can be first. So yeah, I'm very happy with Bitcoiner. I just worry I haven't got enough.
Good news, everyone. My book about GameStop, the craziest story ever told, is now finished. Well, almost. Still waiting for the final draft. So, in the meantime, I think you should look at pre-ordering it or any one of the multiple fantastic, beautiful t-shirts that I have designed in order to sell with the book. Thank you, everyone, for your patience over the last few years while I have been finishing it very slowly. And I am really, really excited for people to read it. Link is in the description below. Enjoy the podcast.